up, YouTube? It's your boy John from Project Ellsworth, and I am here today to answer the 10 questions that David Horror has posted as the Horror Tag 2022. 2022 is damn near over, Dave. All right, I brought Michael with me today so he can take up room in the video. I don't know what the hell he's going to do. So let's get to it. 10 questions answered. I'm all wound up. As always, I hope you guys are doing well, staying safe. So what the hell have you been up to since you were on here last? You've grown about 9 feet.
You know, I was doing my own thing, you know, got
You're a freaking nutcase.
I don't know where to start, man.
You just open your mouth, you're already stumbling. All right, question number 1. Earliest memory of watching a horror movie. Go.
Hey. All right, so earliest movie I have watching a horror movie, I was probably like 7 or 8. And he made me watch Halloween because it didn't have anything that a 7 or 8-year-old couldn't really watch.
Except for them titties.
Oh, you told me to look away. So, you know, at the time, it was completely fine. Still is now one of my favorite horror movies. Yeah, what's yours?
All right, for me, it's not as simple as Halloween. It actually isn't even Halloween. I mean, I wasn't writing shit down back then. But the earliest memory that I have, I would say, is a neighbor across the street from my house where I grew up. I was probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 8 to 10 years old. A relative of theirs came over, a relative of his, my neighbor was my friend Rick. A relative of his came over to pay a visit, and they brought with them a Betamax player. And I remember being, get off of there! I remember being completely blown away, sitting in his living room, watching Phantasm, Carrie, he's gonna destroy something.
Hey.
Phantasm, my dog, by the way, it's not a small person. Phantasm, Carrie, and there was a I don't trust that dog at all.
I'm looking at him.
Death Race 2000. Those 3 movies, sitting in that living room and watching those when I was a little kid. The ending of Phantasm messed me up. The whole end scene with Carrie in the prom in the high school with all the fire and all the blood, that was mind-blowing. And if you're familiar with Death Race 2000, 10-year-old little boy probably should have watched that movie, but I remember it well. All right, moving on.
Oh, what is Death Race?
Question number, Death Race 2000, what are you, 15? Yeah, I still can't watch that with you.
Really?
People get points for killing joints. Next up, favorite horror movie. That one's pretty short and sweet. Go ahead. What's your favorite horror movie?
Short and sweet. Favorite horror movie?
I'm curious. I'm pretty curious of what his answer is.
I know. How about you go first? Because I actually have to think about this.
My favorite horror movie is Halloween. Very easy.
Well, that was all right. Well,
I don't think that that's the best horror movie ever made. I probably have a lot of movies out there that I'm equally as fond of as Halloween. But Halloween's probably, it's safe to say Halloween's my favorite. I like Friday the 13th a lot. I'm a gigantic Exorcist fan, but I'm going to play it peanut butter and jelly and call it Halloween. Go ahead.
you know, I bet you aren't gonna expect this, but I'm gonna have to say Hereditary. I love that movie. I love that movie so much.
Sneezing?
Yeah, he's sneezing.
Paying way too much attention to that dog.
Yeah, no, it's got to be Hereditary. A24 is an amazing studio. They made a great, they really came into the scene with Hereditary, and what was their second movie? It's slipping me. Midsommar. So, Midsommar and Hereditary were...
Say Somar. I want you to say Somar.
Midsommar.
Okay.
I
love it, Somar.
Yeah, but in general, A24 is definitely going to be making a lot of more movies, and they're going to be getting just as much love for it as long as they keep up what they're doing.
I believe A24 is the studio that produced X, but I still haven't watched it yet.
Well, I'm definitely gonna
Something tells me that I better watch that before I watch it with you, just knowing what that's about. I can't let you watch that. Like, I can't go into that thing raw.
What was X again?
X. It's about the porn industry.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, can't watch that with you. My mother, that would be crazy.
But
your mother would punch me in the teeth if I watched that movie with you.
Without just getting into this big old thing. Hereditary. All right, next question.
We could have summed that up in 9 seconds.
I know.
All right. Favorite sci-fi horror movie.
We have the same answer.
I think that this one is, there's only one answer.
Yeah,
That's
The
John
Thing.
Carpenter's The Thing, right?
Absolutely.
There's not another answer. That's the answer. That's everybody's answer. And that everybody's answer?
Yeah.
I was actually, we went and saw Dawn of the Dead last night in 3D. Pretty
that was-
friggin' cool.
yeah.
On the way there, we were discussing this, and he was talking about Alien, and I was talking about Predator.
Yeah, and then this guy just says, wait, we're missing like the biggest thing here, and just brought out The Thing, and then I completely forgot about that
we
too. It's
both
been
forgot-
too many years since I saw that, man.
Both completely forgot about The Thing. The Thing is the right answer. I'm very surprised that The Thing is not your answer, too. All right, next up, favorite horror subgenre. You want to go or you want me to go?
I'll go. So it's definitely got to be psychological horror. I just feel like things that mess with your mind are very powerful in horror movies, such as if you've seen Fight Club, spoilers.
Not a horror movie.
Still something psychological. I'm trying to, for people who don't know, I'm trying to like push that in. Where the entire movie you're thinking something, and then just this big twist. Like you didn't realize that Tyler Durden was.
Don't spoil the movie for people who don't know who the hell Tyler Durden is.
Just said spoilers.
Go ahead.
Both Tyler Durdens are actually the same person. It's just they're mentally mixed in a way. Martyrs was psychological horror. That was really good and messed with you emotionally. I count that as psychological horror.
I always say that that's like the most emotionally taxing movie I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, and I watched that with no problem. But
well, I guess I'm a puss. What do you want me to do? Go ahead. What are you doing? You're a
sure,
tough guy.
Go
Go ahead, tough guy. What's the question? Favorite horror subgenre. To be honest with you, I don't know that if I could get off my couch. I don't know if I could definitively answer this question because I like them all. Love slashers, I guess, psychological horror. I love all of it. I love body horror. I love all of it.
Oh, body horror is good. You didn't mention that last night.
But if I had to, I guess if I got to pick one, I love zombie movies. I'm a diehard zombie movie fan. I just absolutely, positively love them. New ones, old ones, good ones, bad ones. I love zombie movies. But I'm gonna throw what the hell are you doing? An honorable mention in there for possession movies and paranormal movies. I like that kind of stuff too.
Possession of Michael King, legendary movie.
You ain't even make it through that movie. Keep going.
I did. I made it through that movie eventually. With you.
I don't believe you did. All right, goriest horror movie. You got, come on, just pick him up.
Okay, well, yeah.
Goriest horror movie. Okay, while you're fighting with the dog. I would say that the goriest horror movie that I ever saw would probably be Dead Alive, or Brain Dead as it's known in other countries. I'd say it's Dead Alive. It's definitely got to be the goriest movie I've ever seen, but it's definitely not the best gory movie I've ever seen. I'm going to go with Day of the Dead. I'm going to go with The Sadness. I'm going to go with Terrifier 2 was pretty fantastic. That just came out. I ain't figured out yet how that got a rated R, an R rating, and how it felt.
Movie theaters?
Me and him went and saw that in the movie theater a couple weeks ago, and in the middle of the movie, I'm like, why are we in the movie theater watching this movie? This is not a movie that you typically would see in the movie theater. Cannibal Holocaust has to be on that list. All right, so my favorite gory horror movie is 7 different movies. Go ahead, yours.
Terrifier 2. And Terrifier 1 was pretty good. That was a real...
Don't put him down. Just hold him. He's going to eat something.
That was a real
That's
nice...
Jack.
Jack
nice doesn't give a shit about the gory
If I had to say anything, it'd be a pretty nice movie. I'd say it's a pretty nice movie. Terrifier 2 was real good. We were the only people in the theater that stayed for the after scene credits where they were like talking about the production of the movie and all that. And when they said that there was a certain scene in the movie, because it's fairly new, I'm not even going to bother spoiling it. The scene where, if you have seen it, I'm going to be real vague saying this, the daughter with their house broken into, leaving it there, was apparently they had taken 2 years, pretty much the entirety of quarantine, to go over that one scene and make it as gut-wrenching as possible, and I loved every second of it. Every second of it. That went on for like 10 minutes too.
The cliff notes of that is there's one particular murder scene in that movie that they kept going over and over and rewriting and updating and changing, and ultimately in the end it took them a full week to shoot one kill in Terrifier 2, which is pretty ridiculous. stepping to me. All right, next up, an underrated horror movie. I'm curious as hell as to see what your answer to this question is going to be.
Underrated.
Have you watched enough horror movies to say that you know of an underrated horror movie?
No, but I'm sure gonna try.
All right, go ahead.
All right, well, an underrated horror movie, The Babysitter, and hey, off the Michael Myers.
Just
the movie, you know, you
now
relax.
the dog is growling at Michael Myers.
So, I'm just gonna have to go ahead and say The Babysitter. I haven't seen too many people talk about it. Now, I've had a pretty decent amount of time to review my thoughts on that movie. I've watched it 8 times. I still don't entirely understand what that was about, but you know.
I haven't watched you 8 times. Go ahead.
Well, I had some pretty good time to analyze that movie. I thought it was pretty good. Hey, off.
This is going to be a fun video for everybody watching me and you yell at the dog. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Well, like I was saying before, it's got a lot of, you know, fun things. It's one of those movies that's like when you see a high school zombie movie or something like that, where, you know, it's...
A high school zombie movie?
Okay. Have you ever seen a movie that's like Diary of a Wimpy Kid type of humor and all that?
Absolutely
with zombies?
not. I don't even know what
There's
that
actually
means.
a few movies. Well, it tries to make like a comedic, fun twist on darker topics such as zombies.
So, Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah.
Shaun of the Dead.
Oh yeah, Shaun's a Dead, a good one.
Shaun is dead.
I bet he is.
Okay.
Now, you know, it was a very comical way to look at cultists and. Yeah, do you remember that? Hey man, that's the best way I can describe that movie. I saw it 8 times. That's all I can say.
All right, so I'm
Right
gonna go now.
Yeah.
My biggest underrated horror movie for me is either The Possession of Michael King or what was the other movie I had in mind? Monster movie called Spring. That movie caught me way off guard, and I'm not stepping on my toes. I'm not going to say at all what that movie's about because that caught me completely off guard, and it's one of those movies that I definitely would not want to spoil anything. If you find that movie, check it out. It's really friggin' good. It's got the blonde-haired guy. He looks totally different in this movie. Blonde-haired guy from the remake of Evil Dead, the guy with the glasses that read the thing out of the Book of the Dead. What the hell is that called? The Necronomicon. The guy who read the story out of the Necronomicon that made the shit hit the fan in Evil Dead. He's in this movie, no glasses, short hair. Took me a while to recognize him. And the girl that's in that movie is one of the girls that is in The Walking Dead that showed up in the episode where Rick Grimes left. And she's got the tattoos all over. Can't remember what her character name is, but it's that girl and that guy. Spring is fantastic. The Possession of Michael King is a guy who lost his wife, and he then sets out to defame or myth bust all kinds of occult and sacrilegious type of stuff, witchcraft and what have you. Possession.
Oh, by the way,
it's in the title.
Book probably wasn't called the Necronomicon. I was thinking of Ash vs. Evil Dead as you were talking about that. So.
All right, good.
Yeah. Well, for all we know, it could have been called Sissy's Playtime. I don't know.
Sissy's Playtime. Yeah,
that was the first thing I could think of.
All right, favorite horror anthology.
Oh yeah, that. Yeah, get him. He's biting my toes.
You're up here now.
All right, so
I know the answer to this one too.
Horror anthology. I'm gonna have to say Creepshow. Legendary, classic. That's his answer. I'm telling you right now.
For me, it's Creepshow. I mean, it's a no-brainer. This question is just as easy for me to answer as favorite sci-fi horror movie is. It's Creepshow. I mean, George Romero, Stephen King. I want my damn cake, Bedelia. You know what I'm saying? Happy Father's Day. All right, next, favorite Stephen King film. I will not say Creepshow.
That's all you.
All right, my favorite. Well, I know what your answer. You don't even know what your answer is. And I know what your answer is. My favorite Stephen King film. Holy crap! That's actually really not easy. I really love The Shining. Stephen King was not a big fan of that of the Kubrick adaptation of that film. I love The Shining. Pardon me. Love Cujo. But the most important movie to me made from a Stephen King novel is Carrie. I love Carrie. Carrie is very near and dear to my heart. Like I said, earliest memory of horror Carrie is part of that. Absolutely love it. Last year there was a Fathom event for the anniversary of Carrie, and he and I went and saw that too, and it was really, really cool to see that movie on the big screen. There's one other one, but I'm not going to mention it because that's coming up. I'm going to mention that as an answer to another question. Go ahead, young man.
What? Oh, okay. Before I do it, what did you were saying? Oh, I already know what it's.
I know what your answer is.
Tell me.
You may not even know what your answer is.
What do you think the answer is going to be? Because I know mine.
Your answer, favorite Stephen King movie, has to be It.
Wrong. So, I personally
You're almost as tall as me.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I think it's actually overrated. I think.
Oh, get out of here!
Okay, don't get me wrong. I love that movie, but at the same time, everybody always says favorite
Nobody
favorite
says that.
Stephen King
Nobody
movie
says that.
is It. A ton of people always say that. Favorite book, favorite movie, whatever, what have you. I actually think it's The Shining. Because I love the portrayals in that movie. I love how it was made.
Everything about
that. Doctor Sleep was the
Doctor Sleep was the sequel. Yes.
Yes, it was a really good wrap
Took
up.
them 40 years to make the sequel.
Yeah, it was a very good wrap up for The Shining, but it was very interesting watching somebody slowly go insane throughout the entire movie and then just snapping, and there's so many iconic parts. The kid rolling on the little, whatever you call that.
That's called a big wheel.
Oh, that's it, yeah. Kid rolling on the big wheel, the two sisters at the end of the hall. Just the floor pattern itself is enough of a,
The old lady in room 237. That's enough to make you throw up in your mouth a little bit.
I don't like that.
That's one of those movies that I saw several times. When I was younger, I saw it on TV when it's all cut up and edited. And then when I got older and I bought that movie and saw it uncut for the first time, that clearly was not on TV. Messed me up. But yeah, you can't really go wrong with The Shining. That's definitely
There's
not
also
a wrong
a lot
answer.
of references to it in movies and shows. Like, for example, when I watched
Who's Alan Treader?
what I was trying to say was when I watched Ready Player One, there was I think it was Ready Player One. There was a really big reference to it near the getting to the end of the movie, where they were in the ballroom of it. There was a lot of references to it. There's a lot of references to that movie in a lot of
pop culture,
modern
absolutely.
media. Yeah.
All right, next up, favorite horror film from the last 10 years. You want to go? You want me to go?
For a second there, I forgot my answer. Hereditary. All
right. So good way to elaborate. Mine is actually, that's kind of my answer too. It's between Hereditary and It, Chapter 1. That's why I told you I was going to use that later. Halloween 2018 is another one that I really enjoyed. But if I had to boil it down to one favorite movie that has come out in the As Above, So Below is spectacular.
2014.
I would have to say It Chapter 1 is my favorite. I thought that Bill Skarsgård's portrayal of Pennywise was insane. Everything about that movie. It was scary. It was gory. That shit wasn't right. It was I liked It Chapter 2. I loved It Chapter 1.
Both of the It chapters were really good, but you already heard me diss It Chapter 1 a little bit. I'll diss It Chapter 2 now.
There's nothing wrong with Hereditary as an answer though, dude. You don't get much scarier than Hereditary over the last several years. I loved it.
So, real controversial opinion here. It Chapter 2 kind of felt like it was stretched a little. Let me elaborate a little bit, because there's only one more question, and
that's not the answer. Either one of our answers to this question. You want to elaborate on It Chapter 2? Go ahead.
Yes, I will.
All right.
So I feel like It Chapter 2 was stretched because the first one always felt like there was really key elements, and it never felt like it was being dragged along. But It Chapter 2, while I'm not saying it was a bad movie, and I'm not even saying that I didn't really like it, I loved that movie. It didn't feel as true to Stephen King's, what he was looking for in the original film when he wrote the book. I just don't feel like it was as accurate a portrayal as the original one was. And that's about that. So, next question.
All right, so he doesn't like It Chapter 2. All right, so get out of this.
Favorite horror icon.
Breathe on me. Favorite horror icon.
Michael Myers.
It's definitely Michael Myers
Yeah.
for me too, and he's been raised in a house where, I mean, clearly I like Michael Myers a little bit, but all of you already know that. And his name's Michael too.
No, that's not the reason.
He
why,
came
but-
out the day that Rob Zombie's Halloween came out too. And I couldn't
The
go
day
see
or
it.
the year?
The day, the
The
same
day,
day
wow.
that you were born. You know this.
No,
This
I
is not
didn't.
new to
I
you.
thought that was just the same year.
I almost didn't go to the birth because I needed to go see Michael Myers. I've known him longer. All right, so yeah, it's Michael Myers. I mean, I like all of the horror icons. The only big time horror icon that's out there that I'm not crazy about is Chucky. I'm not into puppets, I guess. I don't know. Is he a puppet?
He's a
No,
doll.
he's a doll. That's it.
He's a
Chucky's
doll,
a
like
doll.
a soldier.
And I really am not a big Child's Play fan. I guess the first movie was all right enough, but that one with the Seed of Chucky and the Bride of Chucky, give me a break. I can't do it.
I feel like it was just something that people liked and adored, and they just decided, you know what, stretch it.
People are crazy about that franchise. Crazy about it.
I do like it. This guy didn't really like it that much, but I watched the movies by myself because he wouldn't watch it with me.
I thought the first one was all right. And then I thought the first one was all right.
Yeah, I felt like it was a bit more of a, yeah. So, the movie was a bit of a, not my type of movie. And
All right.
I'm not crazy about movies where, it's really a unique type thing. I'm not crazy about Chucky movies.
That's it.
There we go.
We're done.
No,
we're done.
no.
Yeah, we're done. We're done. If you guys like this
hate
video,
dolls.
please give me a thumbs up.
Nope.
If you really like this video and you've been enjoying my content up to this point, please do me a huge personal favor. Click that subscribe button and ring that bell. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Have a kick-ass day. Thank you for watching, folks. Don't do that. Don't moonwalk down here. Look, you've messed up the carpet.